They dragged me to the execution platform in silver chains, and I smiled, because the Alpha King had no idea I'd already stolen the one thing that could destroy him. The chains burned. Silver always did, searing into my wrists until the pain became a familiar friend. But I'd learned long ago how to swallow screams, how to turn agony into armor. So I kept my chin high as the guards hauled me up the wooden steps, each one groaning under our weight like a death knell. The crowd pressed in from all sides, a sea of faces hungry for blood. My blood. They wanted justice for Lord Carrick's murder, wanted to see the rogue bitch who dared kill one of their precious nobles. Let them watch. Let them see what happened when you backed a wolf into a corner. At the top of the platform, he waited. Alpha King Demon Blackthorn stood like a monument carved from midnight and malice. 6'4" of brutal power wrapped in expensive black fabric, his presence alone made lesser wolves drop their eyes. Silver streaked through his dark hair at the temples, too young for gray, which meant something else had put it there. His face could have been handsome if it wasn't so cold, all sharp angles and harsher judgment. Those ice blue eyes swept over me with the warmth of a winter grave. Sarah Ashwood. His voice carried across the square without effort, deep and commanding. Alpha power threaded through every syllable, making wolves in the crowd unconsciously bow their heads. You stand accused of murdering Lord Carrick Silverfang in cold blood. How do you plead? I let my smile widen. Which answer gets me out of these chains faster? A ripple of shock went through the crowd. You didn't joke at your own execution. You didn't smile at an Alpha King. Something flickered in Demon's expression, surprise, maybe, or annoyance. Hard to tell with all that ice. You show no remorse, he said. Should I? I shifted my weight, letting the chains clink. You've already decided I'm guilty. We're just here for the show. The evidence was circumstantial at best. I cut him off, earning gasps from the crowd. Nobody interrupted the Alpha King. But we both know this isn't really about Carrick. His eyes narrowed. Colder now, if that was possible. Speak plainly, rogue, or speak your last words. Gladly. I took a step forward, ignoring how the guards tensed. My gaze locked on Demons, wolf to wolf, and I let my voice drop low enough that only supernatural hearing would catch it. Tell me, Your Majesty, how long have you been searching for the moon relic? He went still. Completely, utterly still. The kind of stillness that came before violence. And what, he said softly, dangerously, would a rogue wolf know about that? More than you'd like. I straightened despite the weight of the chains. For instance, I know it was broken into 3 pieces. I know one piece is supposed to be buried with the old bloodlines in the northern crypts. I know another was lost during the Great War. I paused, let the moment breathe. And I know you're dying without it. The temperature seemed to drop 20 degrees. Demon's power flooded the square, pressing down on every wolf present until they nearly buckled. Several actually did drop to their knees. But I'd been drowning in my own pain for so long that someone else's didn't touch me. Where did you hear that? Each word came out like gravel. I didn't hear it. I pulled my right hand free, not far, just enough to show him the leather cord around my wrist. The small crystalline fragment dangling from it caught the morning light, swirling with an inner luminescence that no earthly stone should possess. I found it. The entire square seemed to hold its breath. Demon moved faster than should be possible, closing the distance between us in a heartbeat. His hand shot out and grabbed my wrist, yanking it up to examine the shard. This close, I could see the signs I'd heard whispered about in taverns and dark corners. The slight tremor in his fingers. The way his pupils dilated and contracted too quickly. The sheen of sweat on his temple despite the cool morning air. The curse was eating him alive. How? He demanded. Does it matter? It matters whether I kill you quickly or slowly. Then I guess you have a choice to make. I met his gaze without flinching. Kill me and lose the relic piece forever. Or let me live and I'll help you find the other 2. Why would you help me? Suspicion dripped from every word. Because I want something in return. Your life? My freedom. I glanced at the crowd, then back to him. Full pardon. All charges dropped. And when we find all 3 pieces, you let me walk away. He stared at me for a long moment, and I could see the calculation happening behind those winter eyes. Could see him weighing his options, his pride against his survival. You're a wanted criminal. And you're a dying king. I shrugged as much as the chains allowed. Seems like we're both in tight spots. His jaw clenched. The tremor in his hand got worse, traveling up his arm before he could control it. A muscle ticked in his cheek. This is the part where you realize you need me, I said quietly. I need no one. Keep telling yourself that. But when the moon is full and the curse pulls you down into something feral and mindless, you'll remember this moment. You'll remember that I was the only one offering you a way out. For just a second, something besides anger flashed in his eyes. Fear, maybe. Or desperation. Then the ice returned, colder than ever. If I agree to this, he said, you'll be bound to me by blood oath. Break it, and you die. Dramatic, but fine. You'll go nowhere without my permission. Except when I'm finding your magical artifacts. You will obey me in all things. Within reason. His power flared again, but I didn't back down. Couldn't. I'd been dead the moment they dragged me here in chains. At least this way, I had a fighting chance. Finally, Demon released my wrist and turned to face the crowd. When he spoke, his voice carried all the authority of his station. The execution is postponed. Sarah Ashwood will remain in custody pending further investigation. The crowd erupted in confusion and protest. Someone shouted about justice. Someone else about the law. Demon silenced them with a look. I am the law, he said simply. Then to the guards, take her to the North Tower. She's not to speak with anyone. As they hauled me away, I caught Demon watching me with an expression that made my wolf stir uneasily. Not angry. Not suspicious. Calculating. Like I was a puzzle he intended to solve, piece by bloody piece. Good. Let him look. Let him wonder. Because he didn't remember me, and that gave me the only advantage I had left. The North Tower was exactly as welcoming as it sounded. Stone walls thick enough to muffle screams, a narrow window that let in more cold than light, and a door reinforced with enough silver to make my skin crawl from 6 feet away. They threw me inside and left without a word. I sat on the thin cot and pulled my knees up, wrapping my arms around them. The relic shard felt warm against my skin, pulsing with a rhythm that almost matched my heartbeat. Almost, but not quite. Like it was trying to sync up but couldn't manage it. My wolf stirred restlessly inside me, pacing and agitated. We're not dead yet, I told her. Her response was more growl than thought. She didn't like being caged. Didn't like the silver. Didn't like being anywhere near the Alpha King who. I cut off that thought before it could complete itself. Later. I'd deal with those memories later. For now, I had to focus on surviving. On making Demon believe I was useful enough to keep alive. On finding the other relic pieces and then what? I'd been so focused on not dying that I hadn't thought much beyond that. Demon needed the relic to break his curse. I needed it to what, exactly? Make him pay? Destroy him like he destroyed everything I'd loved? The truth was messier than simple revenge. I touched the shard again, felt its weird, otherworldly warmth. The moon relic was supposed to be the ultimate weapon against alphas. Legend said it could strip their power completely, reduce them to nothing more than common wolves. In the right hands, one piece could weaken an alpha. All 3 together could destroy one entirely. Demon needed it to survive. I needed it to make sure he didn't. The door opened without warning, no footsteps to announce the visitor. Demon filled the doorway, somehow looking even larger in the confined space. He'd shed the formal jacket, down to just a black shirt that did nothing to hide the predatory power in every line of his body. "We need to talk," he said. "Talking wasn't really on your agenda an hour ago." He stepped inside, and I hated how my pulse jumped. Fear, I told myself. Just fear. "The relic shard," he said. "Where did you really find it?" "Why? So you can go get it yourself?" "That piece is already here. I want to know how a rogue wolf stumbled onto something that entire packs have been searching for." I studied him in the dim light filtering through the window. Up close, the signs of the curse were clearer. Not just the tremor and the sweat, but the way his power felt, fractured. Like a blade with hairline cracks running through it, waiting for the wrong kind of pressure to shatter it completely. "I didn't stumble onto anything," I said finally. "I've been looking for 2 years." "Why?" "Because you took everything from me and I want you to suffer." But I couldn't say that. "Not yet." "Same reason as you," I lied. "Power. The relic can make or break alphas. That kind of leverage is worth more than gold." He moved closer, and I forced myself not to retreat. Forced myself to hold his gaze even though everything in me screamed to look away, to submit, to. "You're lying," he said quietly. My heart stuttered. "Excuse me?" "Your heartbeat." It jumped. He tilted his head, studying me like I was prey that might bolt. "You're lying about your reasons. So I'll ask again, and this time, I'll know if you're telling the truth." He leaned in, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating off him. "Why do you really want the moon relic?" For a long moment, we just stared at each other. And in that moment, I saw something flicker in his eyes, a flash of recognition, there and gone so fast I almost missed it. He didn't remember me. Not yet. But he would. And when he did. "Because," I said softly, truthfully, "you killed my family." Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The words hung in the air between us like smoke from a funeral pyre. Demon went very, very still. Not the predatory stillness from before, this was different. Colder. More dangerous. "What did you say?" His voice was barely above a whisper. I stood up from the cot, letting the relic shard catch the light. "You heard me. 10 years ago, you led a raid on the Ashwood territory. Burned it to the ground. Killed everyone who didn't run fast enough." My throat tightened but I pushed through. I was 12. My parents died trying to give me time to escape. Recognition dawned slowly in his eyes, followed by something I couldn't quite name. Not regret, Demon Blackthorn didn't do regret. But something close to it. "The Ashwood pack harbored traitors to the crown," he said flatly. "They refused to surrender them. They harbored refugees. Women and children from smaller packs you'd already destroyed. That's not," he stopped himself, jaw clenching. "It doesn't matter now. It matters to me." We stared at each other, and I could see him recalculating everything. Weighing whether to kill me now and be done with it, curse be damned. Instead, he turned toward the door. "We leave at dawn. If you try to run, I'll hunt you down myself." "Where are we going?" "The Feral Lands. There's a seer there who might know where the second piece is hidden." He paused in the doorway. "And Sarah? Whatever happened between our packs, it stays in the past. We have a deal. I expect you to honor it. Like you honored the lives of innocent wolves." His shoulders tensed, but he didn't turn around. "Dawn. Be ready." Then he was gone, leaving me alone with my ghosts and my rage. Dawn came too quickly. They dressed me in traveling leathers, dark, practical, and lacking any of the silver that had decorated my chains. A small mercy. My wrists still bore the burn marks, angry red welts that would take days to heal properly. Demon waited in the courtyard with 2 horses and no other guards. He'd changed into riding clothes, all black as usual, with a sword strapped to his back and another at his hip. His hair was tied back, showing the full severity of his face. "We're going alone?" I asked. "I don't trust anyone else to know about the relic." He handed me the reins to a gray mare. "Can you ride?" "I'm a wolf, not a house cat." His mouth might have twitched. Or maybe I imagined it. "Keep up. We have a 3-day journey ahead of us." We rode out through the north gate as the sun crested the horizon, painting the sky in shades of amber and blood. The city fell away behind us, replaced by rolling hills that gradually gave way to darker, wilder country. The Feral Lands. Even the name made wolves nervous. It was where the cursed ones went, wolves who'd lost themselves to their beasts, who couldn't shift back to human form. Where rogues gathered in savage packs without hierarchy or law. The kind of place where you kept your weapons close and your wolf closer. Perfect. We rode in silence for hours. Demon kept a punishing pace, and I matched him mile for mile, refusing to show any weakness. My wolf hummed beneath my skin, uneasy but alert. She didn't like being this close to him, this exposed. Neither did I. But we had no choice. Around midday, Demon finally pulled up near a stream. The horses needed water, and even wolves needed rest. I dismounted gratefully, my thighs already protesting the hard ride. "We'll stop for an hour," Demon said, not looking at me. "Eat. Rest. Then we push until nightfall. You're real chatty on this trip. Would you prefer I make small talk?" "I'd prefer you explain what curse is killing you." I leaned against a tree, studying him. "Since we're partners now." "We're not partners." "Then what are we?" "Two people with a mutual goal and mutual hatred." He pulled dried meat from his saddlebag and tossed me a piece. Nothing more. I caught it, examined it, then took a bite. "Not poisoned." "Probably." "Tell me about the curse anyway." For a long moment, I thought he'd refuse. Then he sighed, and it was the most human sound I'd ever heard him make. "5 years ago, I killed a witch's daughter." He said it matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. "She'd murdered 3 pack members. The law demanded execution. But the mother, a coven elder, cursed me with her dying breath." He flexed his hand, and I saw the tremor return. "Every full moon, I lose more of myself to the wolf. Eventually, I won't be able to shift back. I'll become one of them." He gestured toward the wilderness ahead. "Feral. Mindless. A beast. How long do you have?" 6 months. Maybe less." His ice-blue eyes met mine. "The moon relic is the only thing that can break a witch's curse. But it has to be whole. So you need all 3 pieces or none of this matters." "Exactly." I processed that, turning it over in my mind. Demon Blackthorn, the untouchable Alpha King, was dying by inches. Becoming the very thing he'd spent his life hunting and killing. There was poetry in that. Dark, twisted poetry. What happens if we can't find all 3 pieces in time? I asked. "Then you'll have your revenge after all." He stood, brushing dirt from his pants. "I'll become feral, and someone will put me down like a rabid dog." "Good." "Yes." He looked at me then, really looked at me, and something flickered in his expression. "I suppose from your perspective, it is." We mounted up and rode on, the silence between us somehow heavier than before. We made camp that night in a clearing surrounded by ancient oaks. Demon built a fire while I tended the horses, both of us moving in careful choreography to avoid getting too close. The mate bond thing was still impossible. Had to be. Except I'd felt something during our confrontation in the tower. A pull, faint but undeniable, like a string tied somewhere behind my ribcage, tugging me toward him. I'd written it off as stress or fear or lingering hatred. But now, sitting across the fire from him as darkness fell, I felt it again. stronger this time. My wolf felt it too. She was agitated, pacing inside my head, fixated on him in a way that made my skin crawl. No, I told her firmly. Absolutely not. She huffed and settled, but didn't stop watching him through my eyes. First watch or second? Demon asked, breaking the silence. First. I don't sleep much anyway. He nodded and settled against his bedroll, though his hands stayed on his sword hilt. Smart. We were deep in dangerous territory now. Anything could be out there in the darkness. I fed the fire and tried not to think about the pull in my chest. Tried not to notice how the firelight caught in Demon's hair, or the way his breathing evened out as he fell into a light doze, or the fact that some traitorous part of me wanted to. A howl split the night. We both moved at once, weapons drawn, backs to the fire. The howl came again, closer now, joined by others. A chorus of savage, broken sounds that made my wolf bristle. Ferals, Demon said quietly. At least a dozen. They don't usually hunt in packs this large. They do if something's organizing them. The first one burst from the treeline, a massive black wolf with foam at its mouth and madness in its yellow eyes. It went straight for Demon, who met it with his sword, the blade flashing silver in the firelight. 3 more came at me from the left. I shifted mid-leap, letting my wolf take over. She was smaller than the ferals but faster, darting beneath snapping jaws to tear at exposed throats. Warm blood filled my mouth, coppery and hot. 1 down. 2 more circling. Beside me, Demon fought in human form, impossibly quick, his sword singing through the air. He moved like violence made elegant, each strike precise and lethal. But there were too many. They kept coming, pouring out of the forest in a slavering wave. My wolf took down another, then another, but for every one we killed, 2 more appeared. We'd be overwhelmed soon, torn apart by sheer numbers. Back to back, Demon's voice cut through my mind. I startled so badly I nearly got my throat ripped out. Alphas could use pack bonds to communicate mentally, but I wasn't his pack, wasn't. No time. I shifted back to human, grabbed a fallen branch thick enough to use as a club, and pressed my back to his. On your left, he barked. I swung, felt the impact travel up my arms as I connected with a feral's skull. It went down hard. Demon's sword flashed past my peripheral vision, so close I felt the displaced air. We moved together like we'd trained together, like we'd fought together for years instead of minutes. When he struck high, I struck low. When I dodged left, he covered right. The connection between us hummed and sparked, growing stronger with every heartbeat. Then it happened. A feral got past Demon's guard, jaws closing on his shoulder. He grunted in pain, and something inside me snapped. Power flooded through me like lightning, white-hot and absolute. My wolf surged forward, and this time when I shifted, it was different. Faster. Stronger. Like something had unlocked that had been chained my entire life. I hit the feral that had bitten Demon with enough force to shatter bones. It flew backward into a tree with a wet crunch and didn't get up. The remaining ferals hesitated, suddenly uncertain. And that's when I felt it. Really felt it. The bond. Not faint anymore. Not subtle. It was a living thing between us, gold and burning, tying me to Demon Blackthorn with threads that felt older than time itself. No. No, no, no. But my wolf was singing, triumphant and fierce. Mate. Mate. I looked at Demon and found him staring back at me, his eyes wide with the same horror I felt. Blood ran down his shoulder where the feral had bitten him, but he didn't seem to notice. No, he said out loud. This isn't, you're not. The remaining ferals chose that moment to attack again. We fought them off, but everything had changed. Every time our skin touched, electricity sparked. Every time I caught his scent, pine and winter and something uniquely him, my wolf tried to claw her way to the surface. The bond pulled and pulled and pulled, trying to snap us together like magnets. When the last feral finally retreated into the darkness, We stood in a clearing full of bodies, both of us breathing hard, both of us very carefully not looking at each other. That was, I started. Nothing, Demon cut me off harshly. That was nothing. You felt it. I felt battle fury. Adrenaline. But his hands shook worse than ever as he cleaned his sword. We're not, that's not. Say it. I stepped toward him, and he actually backed up. The mighty Alpha King, retreating from a rogue wolf. Say what we both know. No. The mate bond is impossible. His power exploded outward, making trees creak and groan. I am betrothed to Lady Isolde of the Silver Moon Pack. The alliance has been in place for 2 years. We're to be married in 3 months. I am not, I cannot, he stopped, chest heaving. This changes nothing. I laughed. Couldn't help it. The sound was bitter and sharp as broken glass. Oh, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Fate's idea of a joke, binding me to the monster who murdered my family. I am not your mate. Keep telling yourself that. I touched my chest, where the bond thrummed like a second heartbeat. But we both know what this is. And we both know it's not going away. Demon turned away, his shoulders rigid. We make camp somewhere else. This area isn't secure. Running away from it won't help. I'm not running from anything. But his voice was strained, and when he grabbed his pack, I saw his hands shaking worse than ever. The curse and the bond, both tearing him apart. Move. Now. We rode through the night in silence, putting distance between us and the feral attack. But there was no distance great enough to escape what had awakened between us. By the time we stopped at dawn, we were both exhausted. Demon's shoulder had healed, Alpha healing was fast, but the cost showed in the gray cast to his skin, the way he swayed slightly when he dismounted. You need rest, I said. I'll rest when we reach the seer. You'll collapse before then. I'm fine. He wasn't fine. The curse was eating at him, and now the mate bond was making it worse. I could feel his pain through the connection, a dull throb that echoed in my own chest. I hated that I could feel it. Hated that some part of me wanted to help ease it. Demon. Don't. He held up a hand. Just, don't. We set up camp in stiff silence. I tried to sleep but couldn't, too aware of him 20 feet away. Too aware of the pull that insisted I should be closer. My wolf whined and paced, confused why we weren't curled up next to our mate, why we weren't. He's not our mate, I told her savagely. He's the enemy. But she wasn't listening anymore. Neither was my body, apparently. Every nerve felt alive, hyper-aware of exactly where Demon was, what he was doing, how he sounded when he breathed. This was torture. Around midday, Demon finally spoke. The seer lives another day's ride north. If she confirms what I suspect, the second relic piece is in Silver Moon territory. I sat up. Your fiancé's territory. Yes. So we just walk up and ask for it? No. He wouldn't look at me. We infiltrate. You'll pose as a rogue I've taken under my protection. A pet project to prove rogues can be rehabilitated. A pet, I repeated flatly. It's the only way Isolde will allow you into her lands. She's particular about rogues. Meaning she hates them. Meaning she believes all rogues should be executed on sight. Finally, he met my eyes. You'll have to play the part perfectly. Submissive. Obedient. Grateful for my benevolence. I laughed so hard I nearly choked. You want me to act submissive to you? I want you to act like you value your life. This is going to be a disaster. Probably. For just a moment, something that might have been humor flickered in his expression. But unless you have a better plan. I didn't. And he knew it. Fine, I said. I'll be your pet rogue. But if she tries to put an actual collar on me, I'm biting someone. Noted. We fell back into silence, but it felt different now. Less hostile. More resigned. Like we were both prisoners of the same twisted fate. As the sun began to set, Demon suddenly stood, his whole body going rigid. We have company. I was on my feet instantly, reaching for my wolf. More ferals? No. His voice had gone cold again. Worse. A figure emerged from the tree-line, moving with predatory grace. Female, tall, with silver blonde hair that caught the dying light. She wore the formal leathers of pack nobility, and power rolled off her in waves. Lady Isolde of the Silver Moon Pack. And she was staring at Demon with an expression that made my wolf snarl with jealousy. My love, Isolde purred, moving toward him. Imagine my surprise when my scouts reported you'd entered the feral lands with a rogue. Her pale eyes cut to me, sharp as knives. Care to explain? Demon's hand found mine and squeezed, a warning or a plea, I couldn't tell which. The mate bond flared hot and bright between us, and from the way Isolde's eyes narrowed, she felt something too. Not what it was, maybe, but something. This was about to get very, very complicated. This, Demon said smoothly, is Sarah. My prisoner. I'm taking her to be executed after she helps me with a matter. Isolde's smile was all teeth. How fascinating. And here I thought you handled such matters more efficiently. She stepped closer to me, circling like a wolf examining wounded prey. My every instinct screamed to shift, to fight, to run. But I held perfectly still, playing the part of a subdued rogue. For now. She's rather pretty, Isolde continued. For a mutt. Her hand shot out, lightning fast, grabbing my chin to force my head up. Tell me, little rogue, what did you do to earn the Alpha King's personal attention? Through the bond, I felt Demon's fury spike. Felt his wolf surge forward, wanting to protect what was. No. That wasn't right. We weren't. But the bond didn't care about logic. I stole something he wants, I said carefully. He wants it back. How delicious. Isolde released me, turning back to Demon. Well then. Since you're in my territory now, you'll accept my hospitality. We have much to discuss, my love. Including our wedding. Her smile turned predatory. It's been moved up. We marry in 1 month, not 3. I felt Demon's shock through the bond. Felt something else too, something that tasted like panic. That's sudden, he managed. My father insists. The alliance must be solidified. Isolde linked her arm through his, possessive and certain. You don't object, do you? Demon's eyes met mine across the clearing, and in them I saw the same trapped feeling that clawed at my chest. 1 month. He had 1 month before he'd be bound to another wolf. Before whatever twisted thing existed between us would be buried under politics and duty. No, he said hollowly. No objection. Isolde beamed. Wonderful. Now come, both of you. The manor is only an hour's ride. We'll have a proper meal, proper beds. She glanced at me dismissively. We'll put the rogue in the kennels, of course. She stays where I can see her, Demon said sharply. Too sharply. Isolde's eyes narrowed. Oh. Why such concern for a prisoner? She's valuable. I won't risk her escaping. It was a reasonable excuse. But through the bond, I felt the lie in it. Felt his need to keep me close, to not let me out of his sight. The mate bond was already taking hold, sinking claws into both of us whether we wanted it or not. And we had 1 month to find 2 relic pieces while pretending we couldn't feel the golden thread tying us together with every breath. 1 month before Demon married another woman. 1 month before everything went to hell. Isolde started toward the horses, chattering about wedding plans and politics. Demon followed, but not before shooting me one last look, a mixture of warning and something that looked suspiciously like fear. I touched my chest, where the bond burned bright and insistent. This is going to be a disaster, I thought. My wolf, for once, agreed. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The Silver Moon Manor rose from the forest like something out of a dark fairy tale, all white stone and soaring towers, beautiful and cold as the woman who ruled it. They put me in servants' quarters. Not the kennels, at least, but barely better. A narrow room with a single window that overlooked the courtyard where guards practiced day and night. No way to escape without being seen. Perfect surveillance disguised as hospitality. I stood at that window now, 3 days into this nightmare, watching Demon train with Isolde's warriors. He moved through the sparring matches like death itself, all controlled power and brutal efficiency. Even with the curse eating at him, he was magnificent. My wolf hummed appreciation, and I shoved her down hard. Stop it. But she wouldn't listen. Hadn't listened since the bond snapped into place. Every time Demon was near, she clawed at my insides, demanding I go to him. Demanding I claim what was ours. He wasn't ours. Would never be ours. I pressed my palm against the window, cold glass against hot skin. Through the bond, I could feel him down there in the courtyard. Could feel the ache in his muscles, the burn of the curse in his veins, the iron control he wrapped around his wolf to keep it leashed. Could feel, beneath all of that, his awareness of me. He knew I was watching. And some traitorous part of him was watching back. A knock at the door made me jump. Enter, I called, expecting a servant with more barely edible food. Instead, Isolde swept in like winter wind, all silver and ice and expensive perfume. She wore a gown that probably cost more than my entire life, her blonde hair arranged in an intricate style that emphasized her perfect bone structure. She was beautiful. Terrifyingly so. My wolf snarled. Sarah, Isolde said, my name dripping with false warmth. I hope you're finding your accommodations suitable. Suitable for a prisoner, you mean? Don't be dramatic. She settled onto the room's only chair like it was a throne. You're a guest. Demon special project. His pet rehabilitation experiment. Her smile could have cut glass. Tell me, how does it feel to be the Alpha King's charity case? I leaned against the window, affecting boredom I didn't feel. Beats execution. Does it? Isolde studied me with those pale, calculating eyes. I wonder. Death is quick, at least. But this, playing the submissive rogue, performing obedience for wolves who despise you, knowing you'll never be anything more than an amusing anecdote. She tilted her head. That sounds like a slower death to me. Did you come here just to philosophize, or was there something you wanted? Direct. I like that. Isolde stood, moving closer. Too close. Invading my space with deliberate intent. I wanted to talk to you about Demon. Every muscle in my body tensed. What about him? You're sleeping with him. I'm not. Don't lie. Her voice dropped to something dangerous. I can smell it on you. On him. That particular scent that means intimacy. Horror flooded through me. We haven't. Not sex. Not yet. Isolde circled me like prey. But something. Something that ties you together. Something that makes his wolf respond when you're near, makes your pulse jump when he enters a room. She stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in her silver eyes. You're mates. The word hung between us like an executioner's blade. I could lie. Should lie. But something in Isolde's expression told me she'd know. So what if we are? I said finally. He's rejecting it. Marrying you instead. Yes. Isolde smiled, but it held no warmth. He is. Which is why I have a proposition for you. I'm not interested in. You want revenge on Demon Blackthorn. She cut me off smoothly. Everyone knows the story. He destroyed your pack. Killed your family. You have every reason to hate him. Her smile widened. So help me kill him. The room seemed to tilt. Excuse me? After the wedding, Isolde continued, as casually as discussing the weather. We marry, I secure his kingdom and resources, and then, an unfortunate accident. A curse that finally claims him. A feral attack that proves fatal. She waved a hand dismissively. The details don't matter. What matters is that he dies, and we split what he leaves behind. I get the kingdom. You get the relic pieces and your revenge. I stared at her, trying to process what I was hearing. You want to murder your husband? Husband in name only. Isolde's mask slipped, revealing something cold and calculating beneath the beauty. I need his power, his resources, his territory. But I don't need him. And once I have what I require. She shrugged. Why keep him around? You're insane. I'm practical. She moved to the door, then paused. Think about it, Sarah. You could have everything you've wanted. Revenge. Freedom. Power of your own. Her smile turned sharp. And you wouldn't have to feel that cursed mate bond pulling at you anymore. Death severs all bonds. You'd be free of him. She left before I could respond, the door clicking shut with quiet finality. I sank onto the bed, my mind racing. Isolde wanted Demon dead. Was planning to kill him after their wedding. And she just offered me everything I'd supposedly wanted on a silver platter. So why did the thought make me feel sick? Through the bond, I felt Demon's sudden spike of concern. Like he could sense my distress even from the courtyard. I shoved the feeling away and buried my face in my hands. This was getting too complicated. The grand ball was 3 nights later, a glittering affair meant to celebrate the upcoming royal wedding. The entire court attended, dressed in silks and jewels, their laughter echoing through the massive ballroom. I stood in the shadows near the servants' entrance, wearing the simple gray dress they provided. Not quite servant, not quite guest. Somewhere in between, just like my status here. Across the room, Demon held court. Literally. Wolves of every rank approached to offer congratulations, to curry favor, to bask in his power. He played the part of gracious king perfectly, all cold charm and careful distance. But I could feel his exhaustion through the bond. Could feel how the curse gnawed at him, how his control frayed with every forced smile. Isolde hung on his arm like a beautiful ornament, perfect and poisonous. She caught my eye once and smiled, a reminder of her offer. My stomach churned. You look like you're about to be sick. I turned to find a man standing beside me, tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair and warm brown eyes that seemed at odds with his warrior's build. He wore the formal leathers of Demon's personal guard, a silver wolf embroidered on his chest. I'm fine, I said shortly. Liar. But he said it gently, offering a glass of wine. You're Sarah, right? The rogue? Word travels fast. I'm Kale. Demon's second in command. He leaned against the wall beside me, casual but watchful. Also his oldest friend, though don't tell him I said that. He'd deny it. Despite everything, I almost smiled. Why are you talking to me? Pretty sure associating with the pet rogue won't win you social points. I don't care about social points. Kale took a sip of his wine, his eyes on Demon across the room. I care about my friend. And lately, he's been different. Different how? Distracted. Agitated. His wolf is closer to the surface than I've ever seen. Kale's gaze slid to me. Started right around the time he brought you here. I said nothing, but my heart rate kicked up. The mate bond, Kale continued quietly. I can see it. The way he watches you when he thinks no one's looking. The way you both tense when you're in the same room. He shook his head. Terrible timing. You think I don't know that? I think you don't know the whole story. Kale set down his wine glass. Walk with me. There's something you need to hear. I hesitated, but curiosity won out. We slipped through a side door into the manor's gardens, where the sounds of the ball faded to a distant murmur. 10 years ago, Kale began without preamble. When Demon's father was dying, he gave his son a command. A dying Alpha King's command carries magical weight. It's absolute, unbreakable. Demon had no choice but to obey. My blood ran cold. What was the command? To destroy the Ashwood Pack. To burn it to the ground and leave no survivors. The world tilted. No. Demon chose to. Demon tried to refuse. Begged his father to reconsider. Your pack had done nothing wrong, they were harboring refugees, just like you said. But his father saw it as treason, as weakness. And on his deathbed, he used his last breath to command his son to fix it. Kale's voice was heavy with old grief. I was there. I watched Demon fight the compulsion with everything he had. Watched it tear him apart. But in the end, the magic was stronger. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. He led the raid because he had to, Kale continued. And he's carried the guilt ever since. That's why he's so cold now, so controlled. He's terrified of ever losing control again, of ever being forced to hurt innocents. Why are you telling me this? My voice came out broken. Because you deserve to know the truth. And because. Kale looked back toward the manor, toward where Demon stood surrounded by court wolves who would never understand him. Because he won't tell you himself. He thinks you're better off hating him. The words stuck in my throat. I need to think. Take your time. But Sarah? Kale caught my arm gently. Whatever you decide, make sure it's based on truth, not assumptions. He left me there in the garden, alone with revelations that shattered everything I'd believed. Demon hadn't chosen to destroy my pack. He'd been forced. Magically compelled by his dying father's last command. All these years, I'd hated him for a choice he never got to make. Through the bond, I felt his awareness spike. Felt him searching for me, concerned by my absence. I pressed my hand to my chest, where the bond burned bright and true. What did I do with this? How did I reconcile 10 years of hatred with the truth that it had all been built on lies? A scream from the manor shattered my thoughts. I ran, shifting mid-stride, my wolf taking over as I burst back through the doors. The ballroom had erupted into chaos, wolves scattered in every direction, furniture overturned, and in the center of it all. Demon. He stood perfectly still, his eyes blazing gold, power radiating off him in waves that made the air shimmer. The curse. It was taking him, right here, right now. Isolde stood 20 feet away, her expression calculating rather than concerned. Like she'd expected this. Like she'd caused it. Demon. I pushed through the crowd, not caring how it looked. Demon, look at me. His eyes found mine, feral and wild. For a heartbeat, I thought he'd attack. Thought the curse had already won. Then something in his expression cleared, just a fraction. Recognition. The bond flaring between us like a lifeline. Everyone out, he ground out, his voice barely human. Now. The court fled, scrambling over each other in their haste to escape. Even Isolde retreated, though she moved slowly, watching with those cold calculating eyes. In seconds, it was just us. Demon's whole body shook with the effort of maintaining control. You need to leave. I can't, I'm losing it. No. I stepped closer, drawn by instinct and the bond. I'm not leaving. Sarah. The second relic piece. Where is it? His laugh was harsh, broken. In the vault beneath the manor. But it requires a sacrifice to claim it. A truth that costs everything. His eyes met mine, desperate and afraid. I can't. If I speak the words, if I confess, everyone will know. The curse, the mate bond, all of it. Then let them know. You don't understand what you're asking. I understand perfectly. I was close enough to touch him now, close enough to feel the heat radiating off his skin. You've been controlling everything, hiding everything. For so long you've forgotten what it means to be honest. Honesty will destroy me. Maybe. I reached out, took his shaking hand in mine. The bonds sang at the contact, pure and bright. But lies are destroying you faster. For a long moment, we just stood there, hands clasped, the bond humming between us. Then Demon closed his eyes and nodded. The vault. Now. We made our way through the manor to a hidden door behind the throne room. Stairs spiraled down into darkness, lit by torches that burned with blue flame. Ancient magic saturated the air, making my skin prickle. The vault door was silver, covered in runes I couldn't read. Demon pressed his hand against it, and the metal warmed, responding to his alpha power. The door swung open. Inside, on a pedestal of black stone, sat the second relic piece. Larger than mine, pulsing with inner light that matched the fragment I wore around my neck. But between us and the pedestal stood a figure made of smoke and starlight. Only truth may claim me, it said in a voice like wind through trees. Speak your deepest shame before witnesses, or be denied forever. Witnesses? I looked around the empty vault. The smoke figure gestured, and suddenly the walls became transparent. I could see through them to the ballroom above, where the entire court had gathered. Could see Isolde at the front, her expression eager. They would hear everything. Demon, I said quietly. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. There is no other way. He stepped forward, his jaw set. I've hidden long enough. He faced the smoke figure, his voice carrying through the vault and up into the ballroom above. My name is Demon Blackthorn, Alpha King of the Northern Territories. And I am cursed. Gasps echoed from above. 5 years ago, I executed a witch's daughter for her crimes. Her mother cursed me with her dying breath. Every full moon, I lose more of myself to the beast. In 6 months, maybe less, I will become feral. Mindless. The very thing I've spent my life hunting. His hands clenched at his sides, trembling. I've searched for a cure desperately, in secret, because I was ashamed. Ashamed that I, who pride myself on control, am losing control. Ashamed that I'm weak. Ashamed that I'm dying. The smoke figure said nothing, waiting. Demon's eyes found mine, and in them I saw fear and resignation and something that made my chest ache. And 3 weeks ago, I found my mate. The one person fate chose for me. The one person who could save me, complete me, make me whole. His voice cracked. And she's a rogue wolf I once tried to execute. The daughter of a pack I destroyed. A woman who has every reason to hate me, and no reason to forgive me. Through the walls, I could see the court erupting into chaos. Could see Isolde's face contorting with rage. But Demon wasn't done. I've rejected the bond because I'm a coward. Because accepting it would mean admitting I'm not the invincible king everyone believes me to be. Would mean admitting I need someone. He looked at me, really looked at me, and his shields finally dropped. Would mean admitting I've fallen for a woman who should be my enemy, and I don't know how to reconcile that with who I'm supposed to be. Silence. Then the smoke figure bowed. Truth given. Truth accepted. It stepped aside, revealing the relic piece. Claim your prize, Alpha King. And may it serve you better than your secrets did. It dissolved into nothing. I stood frozen, my mind reeling from everything Demon had just confessed. Everything he'd revealed, not just to me, but to his entire court. He'd sacrificed everything. His reputation. His control. His carefully maintained image. For a piece of ancient relic that might save his life. Demon reached for the pedestal, but before he could touch the relic, the transparent walls shattered. Literally shattered, raining down in a shower of magical glass. Isolde descended the stairs like an avenging angel, power radiating off her in waves that made the torches flicker. "You fool," she spat at Demon. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" "Secured the second piece," Demon said calmly, though I could feel his exhaustion through the bond. "And freed myself from lies. You've destroyed everything." Isolde's beautiful face twisted with rage. "I needed your power intact. Needed your reputation untarnished. Needed you strong so that when we married, I could leverage your kingdom against my father." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "But now? Now you've revealed yourself as a cursed, dying fool with a rogue mate. You're worthless to me." Understanding dawned. "You never loved him." "Love?" Isolde's laugh was ugly. "Love is for children and poets. I needed an alliance. Needed access to the northern territories and their armies." Her eyes glittered with malice. "My father rules the Silver Moon Pack with an iron fist. I've been planning to overthrow him for years. Demon was supposed to be my weapon." "So you tried to trigger the curse," Demon said quietly. "During the ball. You slipped something into my wine. Nightshade and silver dust. Just enough to push you closer to Feral." Isolde shrugged. "I thought if the curse claimed you publicly, I could position myself as the tragic widow-to-be, unite the packs in grief, and take everything anyway." Her smile turned vicious. "But then your little mate showed up and ruined it." She moved faster than should be possible, drawing a silver blade from somewhere in her gown's folds. "So I'll just have to kill you both." She lunged. Demon moved to intercept, but he was too weak, too drained from the confession. The blade would have taken him in the throat if I hadn't shifted, my wolf slamming into Isolde mid-strike. We went down in a tangle of claws and silver and snarling fury. The blade sliced across my shoulder, burning like acid, but I barely felt it. My wolf was fully in control now, protecting our mate, destroying the threat. Above us, the sound of boots on stairs. The court, drawn by the commotion, flooding into the vault. Isolde's guards. Demon's guards. Everyone converging at once. "Stand down." Demon's voice cracked like a whip, pure alpha command in every syllable. "All of you, stand down." Everyone froze. I shifted back to human, breathing hard, blood running down my arm. Beneath me, Isolde glared up with pure hatred. "You'll pay for this," she hissed. "Both of you." "No," said a new voice. A man descended the stairs, older, with silver hair and Isolde's pale eyes. He wore the formal regalia of a pack alpha, and power rolled off him in waves. Isolde's father. Lord Aldrich of the Silver Moon Pack. "Father," Isolde started. Silence. He surveyed the scene with cold calculation. "I warned you, daughter. Warned you that your ambitions would lead to ruin. But you wouldn't listen. I was trying to save us. You were trying to save yourself." Aldrich looked at Demon. "My daughter plotted to murder an Alpha King and steal his crown. By ancient law, that's treason punishable by death. Father, no. Guards. Take her." They moved fast, hauling Isolde to her feet despite her struggles. She screamed threats and curses, but no one listened. As they dragged her away, Aldrich turned to Demon. "My apologies, Your Majesty. Had I known her plans, I would have intervened sooner." "You did know," Demon said quietly. "You've known for some time. You just waited to see if she'd succeed." Aldrich's smile was thin and cold. "Perhaps. But she didn't, did she?" He gestured to the relic piece still glowing on its pedestal. "And now you have what you came for. Consider the betrothal dissolved. There will be no alliance between our houses." He left without waiting for a response, taking his guards and his disgraced daughter with him. Slowly, the vault emptied until it was just us again, Demon and me and the relic piece that had cost him everything. "That went well," I said finally. Demon laughed, and it was the first genuine sound I'd ever heard from him. "Your definition of, well, is concerning." I've had worse evenings. He moved to the pedestal, touching the relic piece with careful reverence. It pulsed once, recognizing him, then settled into stillness. 2 pieces, he said softly. 1 more to go. And now the whole kingdom knows you're cursed. And dying. And mated to a rogue. Yes. He turned to look at me, and his expression was raw and open in a way I'd never seen. Was any of it true? What you said during the feral attack, that you felt the bond? I could lie. Should lie. Protect myself from the complication, from the pain of wanting something I couldn't have. But Demon had just sacrificed everything for truth. The least I could do was return the favor. Yes, I said quietly. Every word. The bond flared between us, gold and burning and undeniable. I don't know what to do with this, Demon admitted. With you. With us. Neither do I. But he stopped, swallowed hard. I want to try. Want to figure it out. If you're willing. My wolf sang with triumph. My heart cracked open with something that felt dangerously like hope. 1 condition, I said. Anything. Help me understand. All of it. The raid. Your father's command. Everything Kale told me. I stepped closer, close enough to feel his warmth. No more secrets. No more lies. Just truth. Truth, Demon repeated, like the word was foreign. Then, slowly, he nodded. Truth. I can do that. He reached out, his hand cupping my cheek with a gentleness that made my breath catch. The mate bond hummed between us, settling into something that felt almost peaceful. Sarah Ashwood, he said softly. I destroyed your family. I tried to execute you. I've given you 1,000 reasons to hate me. His thumb brushed my cheekbone. Why don't you? I leaned into his touch, feeling the rightness of it down to my bones. Because you're not the monster I thought you were, I said. And I'm not the innocent victim I pretended to be. We're both just wolves trying to survive in a world that wants to destroy us. Then maybe we survive it together. Maybe. He kissed me then, soft and careful and shot through with 10 years of pain and longing and denial. The bond sang, complete and whole for the first time since it had snapped into place. When we finally pulled apart, Demon rested his forehead against mine. 1 more piece, he murmured. And then we break this curse. And then? And then. He smiled, small and real. And then we figure out what comes after. It wasn't a promise. Wasn't a guarantee. But standing there in the vault with 2 relic pieces and a bond that refused to break, it felt like something even better. It felt like hope. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. I woke to darkness and the bitter taste of wolfsbane on my tongue. My head pounded, my limbs felt like lead, and when I tried to move, silver chains bit into my wrists and ankles. The familiar burn told me exactly how much trouble I was in. Demon? I reached through the bond, desperate. Nothing. Just emptiness where his presence should be, like someone had thrown up a wall between us. Panic clawed at my throat. He can't hear you. I turned my head, too fast, the world spinning, and found Isolde standing in the shadows. She looked different than she had at the ball. Harder. More desperate. Her silver blonde hair was disheveled, and there were dark circles under her eyes. What did you do? My voice came out hoarse. Binding spell. Blood magic, specifically. She moved closer, and I saw the cuts on her palms, still bleeding. It blocks the mate bond temporarily. Long enough for what comes next. Your father took you away. You're supposed to be imprisoned. My father is weak. Sentimental. Isolde's smile was sharp as broken glass. He thought locking me in a tower would be enough. But he forgot, I'd been studying forbidden magic for years. Planning for every contingency. She crouched down, eye level with me. Including this one. I tested the chains, but they held fast. Whoever had secured them knew what they were doing. Where am I? The old Silver Moon Temple. Abandoned for decades, which makes it perfect for what I need. Isolde stood, brushing dust from her ruined gown. In approximately 1 hour, I'm going to make your mate an offer he can't refuse. He'll never negotiate with you. Won't he? Her laugh was bitter. You don't know him very well yet, do you? Demon Blackthorn, the cold, controlled Alpha King, he has exactly one weakness. And right now, I'm holding her in chains. Understanding hit me like a fist to the gut. You're going to use me as leverage. I'm going to use you as bait, bargaining chip, and insurance policy all rolled into one. Isolde began to pace, energy crackling around her like lightning. He gives up his throne and the relic pieces, or you die. Simple. Effective. He'll kill you. He can try. But I have something he doesn't. She gestured to the temple walls, where runes glowed with sickly green light. Binding circles. Blood wards. Every piece of forbidden magic I could find. He steps 1 foot into this temple without agreeing to my terms, and you die instantly. The magic is keyed to your life force. My wolf snarled inside me, but there was nothing we could do. Not yet. Why? I asked, stalling for time. You already lost. Your father disowned you. The alliance is broken. What's the point? The point? Isolde's mask cracked, showing the desperation beneath. The point is that I've spent my entire life being my father's perfect daughter, playing his games, following his rules. And where did it get me? Nowhere. I'm still just a pretty ornament, a bargaining chip to be traded for power I'll never hold myself. So you decided to take it. I decided to stop asking permission. She moved to a table covered in arcane implements, knives, vials of blood, herbs that reeked of dark magic. With Demon's Throne and the relic pieces, I can overthrow my father. Can take the Silver Moon pack and remake it into something that doesn't treat women like currency. Can build real power, not just borrowed influence. By threatening an innocent person. You're hardly innocent. Isolde shot me a look. You've killed. You're a rogue. You've spent years plotting revenge. She shrugged. We're not so different, you and I. We just chose different paths to power. I never chose to hurt people who didn't deserve it. Didn't you? Her smile turned cruel. What about Lord Carrick? The noble whose murder started all this? You killed him. Brutally, if the reports are accurate. He was trafficking rogue wolves. Selling them to fighting rings. The memory made my stomach turn. I gave him a chance to stop. He laughed in my face. So you made him pay. You took justice into your own hands, consequences be damned. Isolde leaned against the table. How is that different from what I'm doing? Because I didn't drag innocence into it. Neither did I. You're not innocent. Demon's not innocent. Nobody in this story has clean hands. She checked an ornate pocket watch. But in 45 minutes, none of that will matter. Either Demon bows, or you die. She left me there in the dark with my chains and my fear and the terrible, gnawing absence where the bond should be. I had to think. Had to plan. The relic shard still hung around my neck. Isolde hadn't found it beneath my shirt. It pulsed against my skin, warm and alive. Could I use it somehow? Channel its power? I closed my eyes and reached for it mentally, the way I'd been practicing in stolen moments. The shard responded sluggishly, like it was fighting through mud. The blood magic dampening the bond was interfering with everything. But not completely. If I could just. The temple door crashed open. Demon strode in like vengeance incarnate, power rolling off him in waves that made the ancient stones tremble. His eyes were pure alpha gold, his control clearly fraying. Behind him, I could see Kale and a dozen guards, along with what looked like half the Silver Moon Court. Isolde had made this public. Of course she had. Let her go. Each word from Demon dripped with lethal promise. Not quite yet. Isolde raised her hand, and the runes on the walls flared brighter. I gasped as silver pain lanced through my chest, the blood ward activating. Take one more step, Your Majesty, and she dies. Demon froze, every muscle in his body coiled tight. What do you want? I think you know. Isolde smiled. Your crown. Your throne. The relic pieces. Sign them over to me, witnessed by all these fine people, and I'll release her. You'll release her anyway, or I'll tear this temple down around you. You could try. But these wards are keyed specifically to prevent that. Isolde's voice was smug. You might survive the battle, but she won't. Is your pride worth her life? Through the bond's absence, I felt nothing from Demon. But I could see it in every line of his body, the rage, the fear, the desperation. Don't, I called out. Demon, don't do it. She'll kill me anyway. Quiet. Isolde waved her hand, and suddenly I couldn't speak, my voice stolen by magic. Demon's eyes met mine across the temple, and in them I saw something that made my heart crack open. He was going to do it. Going to give up everything to save me. Name your terms, he said quietly. No. Kale grabbed his arm. You can't, the kingdom. I don't care about the kingdom. Demon shook him off, his gaze never leaving mine. Name your terms. Isolde's smile widened. Sign a blood oath renouncing your claim to the Northern Territories. Give me the 2 relic pieces you possess. And, she paused for effect, swear on your life that you'll never seek to reclaim either. And then you release Sarah. Unharmed. And then I release Sarah. You have my word. Your word is worthless. But Demon was already moving forward, toward the ceremonial dais Isolde had prepared. But I accept. The assembled crowd erupted in protest. Voices overlapping, shouting about duty and honor and tradition. But Demon ignored them all. He knelt before Isolde. The entire temple went silent. Demon Blackthorn, Alpha King of the Northern Territories, who had never bowed to anyone, who made other wolves submit with a look, knelt before a disgraced noblewoman in a ruined temple. Please. His voice was rough, stripped of all pretense. Please, Isolde. Take everything. My crown, my power, my life if you want it. But let her go. Tears burned in my eyes. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, could only watch as the most powerful wolf in the realm broke himself open for me. You really do love her, Isolde said, something like wonder in her voice. I thought it was just the mate bond. Instinct. But you actually. I love her. Demon didn't hesitate. More than my throne. More than my pride. More than my own life. His hands were shaking again, the curse and the emotion both taking their toll. So please. I'm begging you. Let her go. Isolde stared at him for a long moment. Then she held out a knife. Blood oath. Swear it. Demon took the blade and drew it across his palm without flinching. Blood welled up, dark and rich. He began to speak the words of the binding oath. And I felt it. The relic shard, suddenly burning hot against my chest. Responding to something. To the blood magic saturating the temple, maybe. To Demon's blood being spilled. To the mate bond straining against its cage. To me, finally understanding what I needed to do. I'd been approaching the shard all wrong. Trying to use it like a tool, something external. But it wasn't external. It was part of the moon relic, which according to legend was created by the first wolves to channel their most primal power. The power of the bond itself. I stopped fighting the shard and instead opened myself to it completely. Let it sink into my chest, into my blood, into the bond that Isolde's magic had tried to sever. The shard responded like it had been waiting for permission. Power flooded through me, raw, ancient, pure. The silencing spell shattered. The chains glowed red-hot and melted away. The blood wards flickered and died. Stop. Isolde whirled toward me, but too late. I shifted mid-leap, my wolf enhanced by the relic's power. Larger than before, faster, wreathed in silver light that hurt to look at. I hit Isolde like an avalanche, driving her away from Demon. We tumbled across the temple floor in a snarling mass of fur and fury. She fought back with magic, green fire that seared my skin, binding spells that tried to root me in place. But I had something she didn't. I had the bond. And now that the blood magic was broken, I could feel Demon again. Could feel him surging to his feet, his power exploding outward like a shockwave. Could feel our wolves recognizing each other, calling to each other, completing each other. Together, we were unstoppable. Demon grabbed Isolde's arms, yanking her away from me with alpha strength. She screamed, magic crackling around her like lightning, but he held firm. "It's over," he said. "It's not, I still have." Isolde's eyes widened. "Oh gods, Demon, your eyes." I shifted back to human and saw what she meant. Demon's eyes had gone completely gold. Not just wolf gold, feral gold. The curse was taking him, right here, right now. His hands started to shake, his breathing becoming ragged. "No," I whispered. "Not yet. We still need to find the third piece. Run." Demon's voice was barely human, grinding out between clenched teeth. "Sarah, you need to run." "I can't, I'm losing." His grip on Isolde loosened as his body began to change. Not a normal shift, but something violent and wrong. Bones cracking out of alignment, muscles tearing and reforming. The curse wasn't just making him feral, it was trying to trap him between forms, to lock him in endless agony. "Demon." I moved toward him, but Kale grabbed my arm. "Don't. If he goes fully feral, he'll kill you without recognizing you." "I don't care." "You should." Kale's voice was urgent. "He's fighting it to protect you. If you stay, if he hurts you, it'll destroy what's left of his mind." Demon collapsed to his knees, a howl tearing from his throat that was neither wolf nor human. Pure anguish made sound. Through the bond, I felt his agony. Felt him being torn apart from the inside. Felt his terror, not of dying, but of hurting me. Even now, even drowning in curse and madness, he was trying to protect me. "Run," he gasped again. "Please, Sarah. Please run." The mate bond pulled at me, demanding I go to him. My wolf clawed at my insides, howling for her mate. Every instinct I had screamed to stay, to help, to save him. But if I stayed, he'd never forgive himself for what he might do. "Get him to the vault," I told Kale. "Lock him in with the relic pieces. Maybe they'll help stabilize him." "And where will you be?" "Finding the third piece." I looked at Isolde, who'd scrambled away during the chaos. "And getting some answers." I shifted and ran. I found Isolde trying to flee through the forest, her magic depleted and her court finery in tatters. She'd made it maybe a mile before exhaustion caught up with her. I shifted back and stepped out from the trees, blocking her path. "Please," she said, and for the first time, she sounded genuinely afraid. "Please, I didn't mean for, I never wanted him to." "Where's the third relic piece?" I cut her off. "You've been studying this for years. You know where it is." "I don't." "Don't lie to me." "Not now." I moved closer, letting my wolf show in my eyes. "Tell me where it is, or I leave you for Demon's guards. And trust me, after what you just did, they won't be gentle." Isolde's face crumpled. "Your pack. The Ashwood territory. It was buried there. My blood ran cold. What? The third piece was hidden in the Ashwood lands. That's why Demon's father ordered the raid. Not to punish refugees, to secure the relic piece before. She stopped, looking at me with something like pity. Before your mother could use it. You're lying. I'm not. Isolde sank to the ground, all fight drained out of her. Your mother, Elena Ashwood, found the third piece years before the raid. She'd been gathering rogues to her cause, building an army. She planned to use the complete moon relic to strip every alpha in the realm of their power. To start a revolution, to overthrow the entire pack structure and create a new world order led by rogues. No. But even as I said it, memories stirred. My mother, always meeting with strangers in the night. The rogues who'd come and gone from our territory. The whispered conversations that stopped when I entered rooms. Demon's father learned about it, Isolde continued. Learned that she had the third piece and was close to finding the other two. He couldn't let it happen. Civil war would have destroyed the supernatural world. So he commanded his son to stop her. To retrieve the relic piece before she could complete it. And Demon tried to arrest her. Tried to do it peacefully. But your mother fought back. Isolde met my eyes. She's the one who ordered her pack to fight to the death rather than surrender. She's the one who chose violence over negotiation. Demon just finished what she started. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My entire quest for revenge had been built on a lie. Not Demon's lie, my mother's. She'd been planning a revolution. Had been willing to sacrifice her pack, her family, her daughter, for a vision of power and change. And Demon had been trying to stop a war before it started. Where? I managed. Where in the Ashwood lands? The sacred grove. Where your people buried their dead. Isolde's voice was hollow. Your mother hid it with her own parents. Protected by blood wards and oath magic. Only someone of Ashwood blood can retrieve it. Only me. I had to go back to the place where my family died. Had to face the truth of what my mother had done. Had to retrieve the piece that would either save Demon or destroy him. And I had to do it while he was losing himself to curse and madness. Through the bond, I felt him. Felt his agony, his fear, his desperate fight to hold on to humanity. Felt him calling for me even as he begged me to stay away. I pressed my hand to my chest, where the bond burned bright and true. I'm coming, I whispered. Just hold on. Please, Demon. Just hold on. Then I shifted and ran toward my past, hoping it would lead me to our future. The Ashwood lands were exactly as haunted as I remembered. Burned buildings reclaimed by forest. Graves marked with stones that had begun to crumble. The sacred grove where my ancestors rested, overgrown and forgotten by everyone but ghosts. I walked through it in human form, letting memories wash over me. My father teaching me to hunt. My mother singing old songs in a language I'd never learned. The children I'd played with, all gone now. All sacrificed for my mother's vision of revolution. The anger came then, hot and bright. She'd lied to me. Had let me believe Demon was a monster, that the raid had been unprovoked violence, that we'd been innocent victims. But we hadn't been innocent. We'd been weapons. Pawns in someone else's war. The sacred grove sat at the heart of the territory, ringed by ancient oaks. I could feel the magic here, old and deep, humming in recognition of my blood. My grandparents' grave sat beneath the largest oak. I knelt before it, tears streaming down my face. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm sorry you got caught up in her plans. Sorry you died for her ambitions. The earth responded, warming under my hands. Blood magic, recognizing blood. I drew the knife Kale had given me and cut my palm, letting blood fall on the grave. I'm Elena Ashwood's daughter. I claim what was hidden here. I claim the right to choose my own path. The ground began to glow. Roots shifted and parted, revealing a hollow space beneath the grave. Inside, wrapped in cloth that had somehow survived a decade of burial, was the third relic piece. Larger than the other two combined. Pulsing with power that made my teeth ache. I reached for it, and the moment my fingers touched the cloth, visions slammed into me. My mother, young and fierce, holding the relic piece. This is how we change the world. This is how we free our people from alpha tyranny. My father, concerned. Elena, this will start a war. There's already a war. We just haven't been fighting back. Images of rogues gathering. Of my mother learning the relic secrets. Of her finding the second piece and nearly locating the first. Of Demon's father learning her plans. Of his desperate command to his son. Of Demon pleading for another way. There is no other way. She has to be stopped. And then the raid. But seeing it now, through memory and truth, I saw things I'd missed as a terrified 12-year-old. Demon offering my mother a chance to surrender. My mother refusing, calling her pack to arms. Demon's face as he realized she'd rather die than give up her revolution. The battle that followed. The fire. The screams. My parents' last moments, not killed by Demon, but by my mother's lieutenant, who'd gone feral with battle rage. Demon finding me in the chaos, a child hiding in the ruins. His order to let me go. She's innocent. Let her run. The vision ended, leaving me gasping. Everything I'd believed was wrong. My mother had been the architect of her own destruction. Demon had tried to save lives, not destroy them. And I'd spent 10 years hating him for trying to prevent a war. Through the bond, I felt Demon's presence flickering. Fading. The curse was winning. I grabbed the relic piece and ran. I burst into the vault to find Kale holding Demon back, barely. Demon had fully shifted into wolf form, his eyes pure feral gold, foam at his mouth. He snapped and snarled, fighting the chains they'd managed to get on him. When he saw me, he went completely still. Then lunged. Kale and 2 other guards grabbed him, straining to hold him back. Sarah, get out. He doesn't recognize you. Yes, he does. I moved closer, ignoring their shouts of warning. Demon. Look at me. The feral wolf snarled, showing teeth. But somewhere in those gold eyes, I saw recognition. Saw him fighting with everything he had left to not hurt me. I found it, I said softly, holding up the third relic piece. I found the last piece. And I learned the truth. Tears streamed down my face. My mother was planning a revolution. You tried to stop a war. Everything I believed was a lie, and I'm so sorry I blamed you for doing what was right. Demon's wolf whined, a heartbreaking sound. I know you're in there. I know you're fighting to stay human, to protect me. I knelt before him, the 3 relic pieces held out. But you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to do this alone. I took a breath and made my choice. I accept the mate bond. Fully, completely, with no reservations. My voice rang with conviction. I bind my soul to yours, Demon Blackthorn. Your pain is my pain. Your fight is my fight. Your life is my life. The bond exploded between us like a supernova. I gasped as power flooded through me, his and mine, mixing and merging until I couldn't tell where I ended and he began. The 3 relic pieces began to glow, responding to the completed bond, to the joining of 2 souls. Demon shifted back to human, the change finally smooth instead of agonized. He collapsed into my arms, shaking and gasping. The curse, he managed. It's still, I can feel it. Then we end it. Together. I pressed the 3 relic pieces together. They fused with a flash of silver light, becoming whole for the first time in centuries. The complete moon relic, thrumming with ancient power. I held it over Demon's chest and spoke the words I somehow knew, pulled from the bond and the relic itself. By moon's light and blood's bond, I call upon the ancient power. Break the curse that binds this soul. Free him from the magic that devours. Let him be whole. The relic blazed bright enough to light the entire vault. Demon screamed as the curse fought back, green magic trying to hold on to its host. But the combined power of the completed relic and our fully accepted bond was stronger. The curse shattered like glass. Demon sagged in my arms, breathing hard but clear-eyed. Human. Whole. Alive. Sarah, he whispered. You saved me. We saved each other. I held him close, feeling the bond settle into something peaceful and right. That's what mates do. He pulled back enough to look at me, and his eyes were wet. I'm sorry. For your family. For the raid. For all of it. I know. I touched his face gently. And I'm sorry I spent so long hating you for trying to prevent a war. For doing what your crown demanded. I should have found another way. There was no other way. My mother made sure of that. It hurt to admit, but it was true. She chose revolution over her pack. Over her family. Over me. I leaned my forehead against his. But I choose different. I choose this. Choose us. Demon kissed me then, deep and desperate and full of relief. The bond sang between us, complete and perfect and unbreakable. When we finally pulled apart, Kale was grinning like an idiot. So, does this mean we don't have to find you a new queen? Demon laughed, actually laughed, and pulled me closer. I already found her. Even if she is a rogue with terrible timing and a tendency toward violence. Takes one to know one, Your Majesty. I'm not sure I'm a king anymore. Demon looked at the assembled guards, at Kale. I gave up my throne. In front of witnesses. Under duress, Kale pointed out. Which makes it invalid. Also, the council would never accept Isolde's claim. And, he grinned wider, I may have forgotten to make it legally binding. You forgot? I forgot. Kale shrugged, completely unrepentant. Oops. Demon shook his head, but he was smiling. Actually smiling. You're a terrible second-in-command. I'm the best second-in-command, and you know it. I looked between them, at the easy affection, at the loyalty that ran deeper than duty. This was what I'd never had, not really. Family. Not by blood, but by choice. So what now? I asked. Demon stood, pulling me up with him. The complete moon relic glowed softly in my hands. Now? Now we rebuild. We create something better than what came before. He looked at me, his eyes full of something that made my heart skip. Together. If you'll have me. If you'll share a throne and a kingdom and a very complicated life. Are you asking me to marry you? I'm asking you to be my queen. My mate. My partner in every way that matters. He took my hands, the relic between our palms. I'm asking you to help me create a world where rogues don't have to hide and alphas don't have to rule with fear. Where we can be strong without being cruel, where we can change without revolution. It was everything I'd never known I wanted. Everything my mother had tried to force with violence, offered instead with love. Yes, I said simply. Yes to all of it. The bond flared bright and warm, sealing the promise. Around us, the guards began to cheer. Kale whooped loud enough to echo through the vault. And Demon, cold, controlled Demon Blackthorn, grinned like a man who'd just found his way home. Your Majesties, Kale said, bowing with theatrical flourish. Shall we go inform the kingdom that their king lives, his curse is broken, and he's found his queen? Let them talk, Demon said, his eyes never leaving mine. Let the whole supernatural world talk. They're going to anyway. Because you knelt for me, I said softly. Because I'd kneel for you every day for the rest of my life if that's what it took to keep you safe. He touched my face with reverent gentleness. You're worth more than pride, Sarah. Worth more than crowns and power and everything I thought mattered. I kissed him again, tasting hope and healing and a future I never thought I'd have. When we finally emerged from the vault into the morning light, the assembled court gasped. Some bowed. Some whispered. All stared at the rogue wolf holding their king's hand and the complete moon relic. Let them stare. We'd broken curses and survived betrayals and chosen love over vengeance. We could handle a little gossip. Demon raised our joined hands, his voice carrying across the courtyard with alpha power and absolute certainty. Meet your queen. And for the first time in 10 years, I felt like I'd finally come home. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The full moon rose over the northern territories like a silver blessing, casting everything in ethereal light. I stood in the center of the ancient stone circle where Alpha Kings had been crowned for 1,000 years, wearing a dress the color of midnight, my hair loose and wild down my back. No crown yet. No formal title. Just me, Sarah Ashwood, rogue wolf and survivor, about to bind myself forever to the man who'd once tried to execute me. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The entire court had gathered, along with wolves from every territory. They lined the hills surrounding the stone circle, thousands of them, come to witness something that hadn't happened in living memory, an Alpha King taking a rogue as his true mate and queen. Demon stood across from me in the circle, wearing formal black leathers with silver threading that caught the moonlight. He looked every inch the powerful king, except for his eyes. Those ice blue eyes were all for me, warm and open in a way they'd never been before the bond. Between us, the complete moon relic sat on an altar of white stone, pulsing with inner light. Elder Moira, the oldest wolf in the territories, stepped forward to officiate. Her voice carried across the circle, amplified by ancient magic woven into the stones. We gather under the full moon to witness the sacred bond between mates. Between Alpha and, she paused, her weathered face breaking into a slight smile, and rogue. Between king and queen. Between two souls chosen by fate itself. A murmur rippled through the crowd. This wasn't how the ceremony usually went. There were protocols, hierarchies, proper forms to follow. We were throwing them all out. Demon Blackthorn, Moira continued. Do you accept this bond freely, knowing it will tie your soul to another's for all your days? Knowing her pain will be your pain, her joy your joy, her strength your strength? I do. Demon's voice was steady, certain. I accept it freely and completely. And do you vow to honor her not as subject, not as possession, but as equal partner in all things? That caused actual gasps. An Alpha King, vowing equality? Unheard of. I do, Demon said, louder this time. I vow to honor Sarah Ashwood as my equal in power, in purpose, and in rule. What's mine is hers. My throne is her throne. My crown is her crown. Through the bond, I felt his absolute conviction. Felt that he meant every word. Moira turned to me. Sarah Ashwood. Do you accept this bond freely, knowing it will tie your soul to his for all your days? I looked at Demon, at the man who'd begged on his knees for my life, who'd broken every rule and tradition to save me, who'd offered me not submission but partnership. I do, I said clearly. I accept it freely and completely. And do you vow to stand beside him not as ornament or decoration, but as co-ruler and equal partner? I do. I vow to stand with Demon Blackthorn as his partner in all things. To share his burdens and his victories. To build something better than what came before. I paused, then added words that weren't part of any traditional ceremony. And to never, ever bow to him unless he bows first. Laughter rippled through some of the crowd. Shock through others. Demon's mouth quirked. That's going to make formal occasions interesting. You'll survive. Moira raised her hands, calling on the moon's power. Then by the ancient laws, by blood and bone and spirit, I bind you together. Mate to mate. Soul to soul. Equal to equal. Magic flooded the circle, silver and bright and overwhelming. The bond between us exploded into full life, no longer just a pull but a living thing that wrapped around both our hearts. I gasped as Demon's emotions flooded through me, his love, his hope, his fierce protectiveness mixed with complete trust. And I felt mine flowing to him, my strength, my determination, my choice to love him despite everything. The moon relic began to glow brighter, responding to the completed bond. Light spiraled up from it, wrapping around both of us like ribbons of pure power. And then something shifted inside me. A warmth bloomed in my chest, different from the relic shard I'd carried. Deeper. Older. Like something that had been sleeping was finally waking up. Demon, I whispered. Something's happening. I feel it. His eyes widened. The relic. There's another piece. It's inside me. Understanding crashed over me like a wave. My mother didn't just hide the third piece in the Ashwood lands. She hid a fourth piece inside me. In my bloodline. In my very DNA. The light from the altar relic reached toward me, calling to its missing piece. And the power inside me answered, rising up through my chest, my throat, my mouth. I opened my hands and light poured from my palms, pure, silver, ancient. A fourth piece of the moon relic, woven into my very essence. The crowd erupted in shock and awe. Even Demon looked stunned. Your mother, he breathed. She didn't just plan to use the relic. She planned to become part of it. To make herself and her bloodline into living vessels for its power. She wanted to create a dynasty, I realized. One that couldn't be defeated because the power couldn't be taken. It was blood itself. The four pieces called to each other, pulling together with magnetic force. The three physical pieces rose from the altar, and the fourth piece, my piece, pulled from my chest in a stream of light that should have hurt but instead felt like relief. They merged in the air above us, becoming whole for the first time in millennia. Not just three pieces, but four. Complete. Perfect. Blazing with power that made the moon itself seem dim. The complete, true moon relic. I felt its power wash over me, through me. Felt it offering everything, the ability to command any wolf, to strip any alpha of their power, to remake the entire supernatural world in whatever image I chose. Unlimited power. Ultimate control. Everything my mother had wanted. Sarah. Demon's hand found mine, warm and grounding. Through the bond, I felt his steady presence. Felt him offering support without expectation. Whatever you choose, I'm with you. I looked at the relic, at the power that could change everything. Then I looked at Demon, at the court, at the thousands of wolves watching and waiting. I choose. A horn blast cut through the night. War horns. Coming from the north. Kale burst into the circle, his face grim. Your Majesty. Isolde has returned with her father's entire army. They've seized the capital. She's declared herself queen and is demanding Demon's surrender. The crowd erupted into chaos. Demon's power flooded out, commanding instant silence. How many? 3,000 soldiers. Plus whatever dark magic she's been hoarding. Kale's expression was bleak. She's fortified the palace. Taken hostages. If we try a direct assault, people will die, I finished. My hand closed around Demon's. She's betting you won't risk civilian casualties. She's right. Demon's jaw clenched. I won't sacrifice innocence to reclaim a throne. Then we don't fight for a throne. I looked at the relic still hovering above us, then at the assembled crowd. We fight for something better. I raised my voice, letting it carry across the hills. I am Sarah Ashwood, daughter of rogues, survivor of the Ashwood massacre. For 10 years, I believed I was alone. That no one would stand with someone like me, packless, powerless, unwanted. Wolves shifted restlessly, listening. But I was wrong. Because standing here tonight are hundreds of wolves who don't fit the traditional molds. Rogues who were cast out for crimes they didn't commit. Omegas who were told they'd never matter. Wolves from small packs who've been crushed under the boots of more powerful alphas. I met eyes throughout the crowd. All of you who've been told you're not enough. Not strong enough. Not pure enough. Not worthy enough. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the gathered wolves. Isolde wants power for herself. Wants to maintain a system where some wolves rule and others serve. Where strength is measured in dominance and worth is measured in bloodline. I pulled the moon relic down into my hands, feeling its weight, its potential. But I say we build something different. A kingdom where power is earned through loyalty and trust. Where rogues have voices. Where every wolf, regardless of pack or birth, has value. Pretty words, someone shouted from the crowd. But Isolde has an army. What do you have? I smiled, fierce and wild. I have choice. And I'm offering it to every wolf here. Stand with us, not because you have to, not because some ancient law says you must bow to an alpha, but because you choose to. Because you believe we can build something worth fighting for. Silence. Then a single wolf stepped forward from the crowd. A scarred rogue with one eye, his voice rough. I'll stand with you. Been running too long. Time to fight for something. Another wolf joined him. Then another. Then dozens, then hundreds. Rogues and pack wolves alike, stepping forward to make their choice. Not commanded. Not compelled. Choosing. Demon squeezed my hand, his eyes bright with emotion. You're magnificent. We're magnificent. I turned to Elder Moira. Is the ceremony complete? She smiled, ancient and knowing. Ceremony was complete the moment you chose each other. Everything else is just theater. She gestured to the crowd. Go lead your revolution, young queen. Show them what power really looks like. We marched on the capital at dawn, an army of wolves who'd chosen to fight rather than commanded to obey. 3,000 against 3,000. But our wolves burned with purpose while Isolde's merely followed orders. The difference mattered. The palace rose before us, beautiful and fortified. Isolde stood on the walls in stolen crown, her father beside her, their combined forces arrayed behind them. Demon Blackthorn. Her voice carried across the field. You're too late. The throne is mine, claimed by right of conquest and power. Surrender now, and I'll let your little rogue pet live. Fight, and I'll paint these walls with both your blood. Demon stepped forward, every inch the Alpha King. The throne was never yours to claim, Isolde. You took it through treachery and dark magic. That's not power, it's theft. Says the king who was ready to abandon everything for a rogue. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You've grown weak, demon. Soft. The old you would have crushed me without hesitation. The old me, Demon said quietly, was afraid. Afraid of appearing weak. Afraid of caring about anyone. Afraid of being anything less than perfect. He took my hand, raising it high. But she taught me that real strength isn't dominance. It's choosing to be better. Choosing to trust. Choosing love over fear. How touching. Isolde's sneer was ugly. And utterly useless. I have the high ground, the fortifications, and the power. What do you have? I stepped forward, the moon relic blazing in my free hand. We have the truth. And we have wolves who are tired of being afraid. I raised my voice, speaking not to Isolde but to her army. Wolves of the Silver Moon Pack. You've served under Lord Aldrich's tyranny for generations. Served under a man who treats you as tools, as weapons, as expendable resources rather than people with voices and choices. I let power flow through my words, not compulsion but conviction. I'm offering you a choice. Stand with tyrants who see you as pawns. Or stand with us and build a kingdom where every wolf matters. Don't listen to her. Aldrich roared. She's a rogue. A nothing. She has no authority. She has the moon relic, someone called from Isolde's walls. The complete relic. She could strip you of your power right now if she wanted. But she hasn't, another voice added. She's offering choice instead of command. The walls began to shift. Wolves on Isolde's side turning to look at each other, questioning. This is treason. Aldrich's power flooded out, trying to command obedience. You will hold your positions. You will. You will make your own choice, I said, my voice cutting through his. No compulsion. No magical command. Just a simple question, do you want to serve fear, or do you want to build hope? One wolf on the wall put down his weapon. Then another. Then dozens. They weren't defecting to us. They were simply stopping. Refusing to fight. Choosing peace over violence. Isolde's face contorted with rage. Traitors. All of you. You'll do nothing. The voice came from behind her. A woman stepped forward, older, with silver hair and scars that spoke of years of battle. One of Aldrich's high commanders. Enough, Isolde. Enough, my lord. For too long we've followed orders that went against our conscience. Orders that harmed innocents. Orders that made us into monsters. She looked at me, then at Demon. We choose differently now. You don't have that choice. Aldrich's power exploded outward, trying to force submission. It bounced off the shields the wolves had raised, not magical shields, just the simple, powerful choice to refuse. Father. Isolde's voice was hollow. They're not obeying. They're free, I said. Maybe for the first time in their lives. Aldrich lunged for me with supernatural speed, claws extended, power blazing. He was old, but still dangerous. Still deadly. Demon moved to intercept, but I held up my hand. No. This is mine. I raised the moon relic, feeling its complete power thrumming through me. I could end Aldrich with a thought. Could strip him of his alpha power and leave him mortal. Could destroy him utterly. The relic offered me the power. Begged me to use it. But that wasn't who I was. Wasn't who I wanted to be. Instead, I simply stepped aside. Aldrich's momentum carried him past me, and he stumbled, suddenly facing his own soldiers. The ones he'd abused, dominated, and controlled for decades. They didn't attack him. Didn't need to. They just stood there, united, and refused to move aside. Stand down, the scarred commander said quietly. It's over, my lord. Aldrich stared at them, at the wall of his own wolves who'd chosen to say no. Then he collapsed to his knees, not from injury but from the weight of realizing his power had always been an illusion. Without fear to sustain it, he was nothing. Isolde watched her father fall, something breaking in her expression. I just wanted. Her voice cracked. I just wanted to be strong enough that no one could hurt me again. I understood that. Understood it deeply. Strength isn't domination, I said gently. It's resilience. It's choosing to be kind even when the world has been cruel. It's building instead of destroying. I don't know how to do that. Isolde looked young suddenly, vulnerable. I only know how to fight. Then learn, Demon said. You have time. You have a chance to be better. He gestured to his guards. Take them into custody. Comfortable, humane custody. They're not monsters, they're wolves who made mistakes. As they led Isolde and Aldrich away, I turned to face the assembled wolves, ours and theirs, now just ours. Thousands of them, waiting to see what came next. I raised the moon relic high, letting its light wash over everyone. This, I said, is the source of ultimate power. With it, I could command any wolf. Could reshape the supernatural world however I wanted. Could create a dynasty that would last forever. The crowd held its breath. I choose not to. Before anyone could react, I threw the relic to the ground with all my strength. It shattered into 1,000 glittering pieces, power exploding outward in a wave of silver light that washed over every wolf present. Not harming them, but changing them. I felt it through the bond, through my connection to everyone gathered. The light stripped away old magical compulsions. Freed wolves from oaths they'd been forced to take. Released them from bindings they'd never consented to. It gave them all the one thing that mattered most, choice. When the light faded, the moon relic was gone. Destroyed. Its power dispersed back into the world it had come from. No relic, I said into the stunned silence. No ultimate weapon. No tool for one wolf to dominate all others. I looked at Demon, who was staring at me with awe and love and complete understanding. Just wolves choosing to work together. Choosing to build something better. You destroyed it, someone whispered. The moon relic. The ultimate power. You just destroyed it. Because true power, I said, isn't something you take or inherit. It's something you earn. Through loyalty. Through trust. Through proving every day that you're worthy of the responsibility you've been given. Demon stepped beside me, taking my hand. My mate is right. We don't want subjects who obey out of fear or compulsion. We want partners who choose to build this kingdom with us. He raised his voice. So I'm making this proclamation: every wolf in the Northern Territories is free. Free to stay or go. Free to challenge our decisions. Free to speak their minds without fear of retribution. We rule not by divine right or inherited power, but by the consent of those we serve. That's not how kingdoms work, someone protested. Then we'll make it work differently, I said. We'll figure it out as we go. We'll make mistakes, and we'll fix them. But we'll do it together, as equals, with everyone having a voice. Silence. Then cheering. Not polite, formal approval, but genuine, roaring celebration. Wolves howling their acceptance, their joy, their hope. Demon pulled me close, his forehead resting against mine. You know we just destroyed every tradition and precedent in supernatural history, right? I know. I grinned. Terrifying, isn't it? Absolutely. He kissed me, deep and thorough, and the crowd cheered louder. I wouldn't have it any other way. 3 months later. I stood on the balcony overlooking the kingdom, our kingdom now, rebuilt and renamed. The Northern Territories had become the Free Territories, and wolves came from everywhere to see this strange new place where rogues walked freely and alphas shared power. It wasn't perfect. We had disputes, disagreements, wolves who didn't understand the new ways. But we worked through it. Together. Demon came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. The council is asking about the coronation again. They want to make it official. They want fancy titles and ceremonies. They want to celebrate their queen. He nuzzled my neck. Can't blame them for that. I leaned back against him, savoring his warmth. Queen feels wrong. Like I should be sitting on a throne looking regal. You could sit on a throne. You'd look magnificent doing it. I'd probably fall asleep. Thrones look uncomfortable. He laughed, the sound rich and free. The curse was gone, his control no longer rigid but natural. He smiled more now. Laughed more. Let himself be human as well as alpha. There's something else, I said quietly. What? I took his hand and placed it on my stomach. The healers confirmed it this morning. I'm pregnant. Demon went completely still. We're having a baby. I turned in his arms to see his face. A child born of a true mate bond. First royal heir in centuries to have that. His eyes were wet. A child with your strength and stubbornness. And your insufferable need to be right about everything. This child is going to be spectacular. He kissed me softly. And completely exhausting. Absolutely. I grinned. Think the kingdom is ready for an heir who's half rogue, half royal, and fully chaotic? The kingdom better get ready. Demon's hand splayed across my stomach, protective and awed. Because our child is going to change everything. Through the bond, I felt his joy, his love, his absolute conviction that we could handle whatever came next. Below us, the free territories bustled with activity. Rogues training alongside pack wolves. Councils meeting with representatives from every level of society. Children playing in streets that used to be off-limits to anyone without proper bloodlines. It wasn't the world my mother had tried to create through violence and revolution. It was better. Because it was built on choice. On trust. On the simple but profound belief that every wolf deserved dignity and voice. Sarah. Demon's voice was soft. I never thanked you. For what? For not killing me when you had every reason to. For choosing to see beyond revenge. For teaching me that strength and compassion aren't opposites. He touched my face gently. For saving me in every way a person can be saved. You saved me too, I said. Gave me a home when I'd been running for years. Gave me a purpose beyond survival. Gave me, I took his hand, a family. The rogue queen and her reluctant king. The partners who rewrote the rules. The mates who chose each other. I kissed him as the sun set over our kingdom, painting the sky in shades of amber and gold. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new problems to solve. But we'd face them together. Equal partners. Chosen mates. Building something better than what came before. And in my womb, our child grew, the future of a new era. A child who would inherit not domination but partnership. Not fear but hope. Not the right to rule, but the responsibility to serve. The rogue queen's crown wasn't made of gold or jewels. It was made of choices, of loyalty freely given, of trust earned day by day. And that, I was learning, was the most powerful kind of crown of all. Epilogue. 10 years later. Mama. Mama, watch this. I looked up from the council documents to see my daughter, Lyra, shifting mid-leap from the garden wall. 9 years old and already showing the signs of the powerful wolf she'd become, my silver eyes, Demon's dark hair, and a personality that was pure chaos. She landed in wolf form, perfect and graceful, then shifted back to human with a triumphant grin. That was amazing, little moon, I called. But you're supposed to be in lessons with Elder Moira. I finished. She said I learned faster than any student she's ever had. Lyra bounced over, all energy and pride. Can we go to the rogue settlement now? You promised I could visit today. After you finish your arithmetic. But Mama. Numbers are just as important as shifting, Lyra. A good queen needs to understand both. I'm not going to be a queen, Lyra said with the confidence of a 9-year-old. I'm going to be like you. Making people free and fighting bad guys and being awesome. I pulled her into a hug, breathing in her wild, sweet scent. You can be anything you choose to be. That's the whole point. Can I choose to skip arithmetic? No. Worth a try. She kissed my cheek and bounded off toward the study, her laughter echoing through the halls. Demon emerged from his office, raising an eyebrow. Let me guess. She tried to get out of lessons again? Your daughter is very persistent. My daughter? She gets that from you. She gets the charm from you. That's worse. He pulled me close, and even after 10 years, the bond still sang between us. Still perfect, still right. The council is pushing again about succession laws. Let me guess, they want to make sure Lyra inherits automatically. And I keep telling them that Lyra will earn her place if she chooses to take it. Just like we did. I looked out over the kingdom we'd built together. The free territories had expanded, encompassing wolves from dozens of former packs. We still had challenges, old prejudices died hard, and there were wolves who longed for the old ways. But mostly, we had hope. Do you ever regret it? I asked. Giving up absolute power? Every day, Demon said without hesitation. Then he smiled. For about 5 seconds, until I remember what we have instead. A kingdom of partners, not subjects. A daughter who'll grow up never knowing what it means to be powerless. A mate who challenges me and stands beside me and makes me better every single day. He kissed me softly. No, Sarah. I don't regret it. Not for a heartbeat. Through the bond, I felt his absolute conviction. Felt his love, as strong now as the day we completed the mating ceremony. From the study, I heard Lyra singing while she did her arithmetic, badly off-key, but enthusiastic. Our daughter. Our future. Our hope. The rogue queen and her king had rewritten the rules. And their daughter would make them even better. The story of the rogue who refused to bow and the alpha who learned to kneel wasn't over. It was just beginning. And so closes the tale of Sarah Ashwood and Demon Blackthorn, the rogue queen who destroyed ultimate power to build something better, and the alpha king who learned that true strength lies not in dominance, but in choice. Their story reminds us that the fiercest battles aren't always fought with claws and fangs, but with courage to change, to forgive, to build instead of destroy. May their legacy of chosen loyalty over forced submission echo through generations of wolves yet to come. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.